All right, guys, just in the interest of time, I think we'll probably get cracking. We had about 60 people sign up, so we've probably got about half those people here, so we'll get going, I think, if that's okay. Firstly, just a really big welcome to the second of our webinar series. Today, we're going to be looking at the AHP support worker framework from the perspective of the support worker. My name's Abby Hall. I'm a physio by background and also Devon AHP Faculty Project Lead. I'm really delighted today to welcome Lorraine and Kat, who are support workers working in very advanced support work roles. They're going to tell us much more about their career journeys and give us a bit of background about kind of what they're doing and the work that what they're doing. Just some really brief housekeeping, probably things you've all heard before. If you haven't already, it's just really nice if you can introduce yourself in the chat just to get an idea of who's in the room. The session is being recorded and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you don't want to appear on that, please turn your camera off. But it's always lovely to see faces on cameras if people are happy to have them on. We are also transcribing the session just for ease of access for people that might be hard of hearing. I'm going to check this transcription afterwards to make sure it's accurate and then obviously make it accurate. And then if you want a copy of it, just let me know and I can send it through to you. Please do remain muted unless you're talking, just makes it easier when we've got sort of numerous people on the call. After each presentation, we're going to have an opportunity for questions and answers. So during that time, please just raise your hand or type in the chat and we'll get to you and hopefully get through as many questions as we can. Okay, so what we're going to cover today. I'm first just going to show you a brief video, which is going to introduce the framework, probably better than I'll be able to introduce it. So I thought I'd show you the video instead. It's only a few minutes. I'm then going to talk about the faculty and the work that we're doing, some of the work we are doing and some of the work that we've already done, including some of the headlines from baseline data report that we completed earlier in the year. I'm going to then briefly just show you the career portfolio that we're developing, and then also talk about some opportunities for you to get involved in the work. Including an opportunity to work within the faculty as a support worker. And then we get to hear from Kat and Lorraine about their journeys into very advanced support worker roles. So I'm going to play this video. I very much hope it works. If you don't hear any sound, can please someone just let me know.
The slide hasn't moved yet. Have you moved the slide on? Oh, it has to move. Carry on.
So it's a really nice video. I think it sums up what I was going to try and describe in a much more succinct way. So as I said, it's available, so if you want to review it again, or I can share the link in the chat. I think one thing to say is I've worked in the NHS for 20 odd years, and it's the first time there's been a real focus on support workers. So it's a really exciting time and a really exciting development for support workers. So just following on from the introduction to the framework, really, I wanted to introduce the work that the faculty are doing. I think there's a lot of people haven't even heard of us or the work that we are doing. So it's important to say the faculty is less than a year old. I only started in the faculty in January this year, so we're very much in our infancy. But the aim of the faculty really is to bring together all the organisations in Devon to tackle workforce challenges for AHPs and support workers. And I think, as we saw in the video, there's been notable challenges for the support worker workforce. And therefore, one of my big objectives and a real large work stream of the faculty is supporting rollout of this framework. I think at this point it's really important to say that the role of the faculty is supporting organisations in Devon with the rollout, but it is actually organisations that have the ultimate responsibility to ensure that it's rolled out effectively. So what have we done so far? So the first thing we did as a faculty was to try and get a clearer picture really of what the AHP support worker workforce looked like in Devon. So we undertook a survey probably 4 or 5 months ago now, which you may or may not have completed. Hopefully some of you will have done, and also undertook quite a lot of data collection. I'm going to briefly talk about some of the main findings of the report, but I have added it to the file section for this chat. So if you want to see it, it's there available for you to look at. If you can't access it there, just drop me an email and I can send it through to you. Other things we've been doing, we've been developing a career portfolio, which will hopefully help people to actually use the framework on a day-to-day basis and throughout your careers. We've also been developing a support worker reference group who help to advise on different aspects of the work that the faculty are doing. So I'm just going to give you a really brief snapshot of the survey and the report that we wrote. So we had around about 350 responses from AHP support workers in Devon. And just to set a bit of context, we've got about 800 support workers in AHP professions across Devon. So around about 50% response rate was actually a really good response rate. And you can see in that graphic all of the organisations in Devon and which ones responded to the survey and how many support workers responded. This second graph just shows the professions that support workers aligned to. I think it was really notable that a lot of support workers didn't align with just one AHP profession, and often they worked across many different professions. The majority, it's quite hard to see in that graph, but the majority reported they work within physio or occupational therapy or a combination of the two. Some of the questions we asked were around how valued people felt in their current role as support workers. And I think it's important to say there was massive variation across Devon and within organisations and throughout organisations, really. A lot of people did feel really valued in their work, but many didn't feel that valued in the work that they were doing. And I think the quotes that you can see on that slide are they were quite common in the feedback we were getting. Support workers generally felt really valued by their patients and the team they worked alongside, but they didn't feel particularly valued by higher management or the organisation. And a lot of this related to the lack of career opportunities and kind of structure. It was noted that the higher levels of feeling valued directly related to how happy people felt working in their roles, which I think is really important. We also asked about career opportunities. So having greater opportunities for career progression made people feel much happier and much more valued in their roles. But again, there was massive variation with the opportunities people felt. A lot of people felt they didn't have any opportunities to develop within a support worker role and therefore were looking elsewhere for different opportunities and different roles. There was also quite a lot of comments that people felt that registered staff had a lot more opportunities than support workers had for career development. So this graphic just talks about tenure, and tenure is how long people stay in their roles. The striking fact is around the fact that just under 25% of support workers only stay in their role for less than 2 years in Devon. Again, this was reported that it was directly related to the lack of career opportunities and structure within their career. These slides will get sent round so you can see it in more detail, but there's a breakdown by different trusts on the left-hand side, and then there's a breakdown by different roles on the right-hand side. So again, if you want to look at it in more detail, then I can send it through to you. So the conclusion really of our report was there was massive variation in support worker workforce in Devon. It was also quite hard to collect that data for lots of different reasons, but ESR isn't necessarily the best way of getting data. Support workers reported a real lack of opportunities, and this directly related to their happiness in their roles and how valued they felt. Although we couldn't directly link it to how long people stayed in their role, I think it's very likely to be the cause that people left rapidly or didn't stay long because they weren't feeling valued or very happy within their roles. The greatest number of support workers left within the first year of starting a new role, again, citing the lack of career structure and opportunities. And I think the really important thing to say is this is a really exciting and important development for support workers. So what we're hoping is the rollout of the framework will change this. It will give us a much more robust career structure for support workers. And we plan to repeat this report and this data collection in the next 12 to 18 months and really hope that we start to see a bit of a change in the trend. Support workers are feeling more valued and more happy in their role and therefore are staying for longer is the aim. So I just briefly wanted to touch on the career portfolio. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with you at this stage. It's still a work in progress creating it. But I just wanted to introduce this as something that hopefully you'll see in the coming months within your organisation. The purpose of this really is to try and help actually use the framework within your career development discussions. It's an interactive document that you can update as you progress throughout your career, and hopefully it will help to structure those career conversations with supervisors or mentors. And we also anticipate that it could be used as part of recruitment and interview processes. So you can clearly show people that are recruiting what your career journey looks like and where you want to get to. So I'm not going to go into it in more depth, but there's lots more information about it that I can give you hopefully in the coming months. So I think the really important thing is that as a faculty and organisations, we're doing loads of work to help promote and support the rollout of the framework, but how can you get involved in it? I mentioned very briefly before, we've got a small reference group of support workers who help advise on the work that we're doing. We're always looking for more people, so please contact me if you're interested. It's a really good opportunity to get involved, but also good for your CPD. Coming soon, two really exciting developments, I think. We're hoping to create a support worker council where support workers across Devon can come together and proactively work on challenges, but also the opportunities for support workers across the region. We're also planning to go out to advert very soon for a part-time Band 5 support worker, so an unregistered member of staff as Band 5, to join us in the faculty, and that will be a fixed-term contract initially, or secondment. So please keep your eyes out on NHS jobs. Hopefully that will be out in the coming couple of months. Please again contact me if you want any more information. But I think for Devon that's a massive step forward, having support workers in Band 5 roles. So it's really exciting. I think that's it. It's just a whistle-stop tour of the work that we've been doing and we're doing around the framework. I think at this point it'd be a really good point just to stop to answer any questions people have before we go on to listen to Kat and Lorraine. So I'm going to, if I can work out how to stop sharing this live, I will stop sharing. I'll stop sharing. I have stopped sharing. And then we'll go. I can't see the chat, which isn't very helpful, is it really?
I can see the chat.
I'm not sure why I can't see the chat. That's a bit annoying. Kat, are there any questions in the chat that you can?
Not at the moment.
Is there anything anyone wants to pop their hand? If I can't see the chat, it'd be really good if people want to pop their hands up and we can speak rather than looking at the chat. Any questions people have at this stage?
Any idea how long the career portfolio will take to initiate?
So the career portfolio was a bit of a kind of it was an unplanned kind of creation that we came across in Devon, and actually it's become a bit of a wider development group really than just in Devon. So there's a lot of interest across the country. So we're currently there's a workforce action group that's working on the document that hopefully we'll be ready to pilot in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm thinking. And the plan is that we'll pilot it across some small areas before rolling it out, potentially on a wider scale. It was only planned to be Devon, but there's been a lot of interest nationally, so I think we'll roll it up much wider than that. So again, if you want any more details, just drop me an email and I can give you some more details about it. Equally, if you'd like to be involved in developing it and refining it further, we've got a group of about, I want to say 8 or 9 people across the country who are working on it. But if anyone's interested in working on it with us as well, please let me know. It'd be great to have more people involved with it. So
We've got a hand up, Steve.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks, Abby. It's really informative. Could you just tell me how you did collect the data then, if ESR was which I also know is very difficult to actually get to much from, really. How did you go about that?
Yeah, so a lot of the two strands to it, really. We had some objective data, which was the ESR data. So a lot of the ESR data has been cleansed or is in the process of being cleansed by the workforce leads within Devon. So although the data is there, the concern has been that it's not necessarily the most accurate data. And a lot of that really relates to the way that ESR codes people. So at the moment, there's not, if a support worker works across professions, so OT and physio, for example, or speech and language, you can't code someone as working in both professions. So it gives you very limited and very basic data. The survey data, we can be more confident that it's accurate, because obviously that came from everybody that we asked. So we know that data is accurate, but the ESR data we know isn't accurate. It's an ongoing process throughout organisations to refine that and to cleanse that data, and it's improving day by day. But I think we know ESR data is never going to be perfect. Unfortunately, it's always going to be a little bit inaccurate according to what's been entered, but it's improving. So I don't think there's an easy answer, I'm afraid, Steve.
So with the survey data, did you just literally send out the survey to all the team leads and they kind of cascaded it, that type of thing?
Yeah, with a variety of different approaches, but essentially it was the workforce leads in each organisation that sent it through to team leads and then different teams. So it was hard. I think communication is still difficult with everybody to make sure actually we get this information through to everyone is still a challenge. So it's something we're still working on.
Thanks. Yeah, great. Cheers.
Thanks, Steve. Are there any other questions in the chat, Kat, that you can see?
Ask for your email, so I've put that in there for you.
And
Hannah.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Hannah. I work with UCR support workers. One of the issues that we're finding is that there's not very many band 4 roles in UCR, and that we're quite limited. People can only access the TAP training if they've already got a band 4 role. So it's a little bit of a vicious cycle, a bit tricky for people. So I'd be really interested to talk to you, maybe not right now, but about how we address that situation.
Yeah, sure. So we've got another webinar in a couple of weeks, which is designed for managers and AHP leads, and we're going to be discussing those sort of things in more detail there. So it might be worth coming to that one as well if you're able to, because those are exactly the sort of questions that we want to really kind of refine and come up with some plans for.
I will do. Thank you.
Super. Any other questions at the moment before we move on to Lorraine?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay, so Lorraine, are you happy if we move on to yours?
Yeah.
And let me get my computer working, and then we shall. Right, so that should be showing. Lorraine, is that up?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you, Abby.
Super. I will hand over to Lorraine to introduce herself, and then she's going to talk us through her career journey.
Lovely, thank you. Hi everyone, lovely to be here today, virtually obviously. My name is Lorraine Allchurch. I'm a lead AHP support worker at the Dudley Group NHS Foundation Trust, and I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of background into how I got to where I am now, and then talk about what the lead AHP support worker role has kind of done so far. So my career started as an auxiliary nurse, and I worked in a day case unit, and I really enjoyed it, but wanted progression after doing my MVQ level 2 in health and social care. So looked to see what opportunities were available, and there is a lot of opportunities if you want to progress down that kind of nursing route, and there was opportunities there, but that wasn't really what I wanted to pursue. So I managed to get myself a therapy assistant role here at the Dudley Group. And through experience and on-the-job training, I was able to apply for a band 4 therapy assistant practitioner role, and that was within elderly care, frailty and front door services. And I loved my job. I loved working as a support worker, and all that offered to me. But I always wanted more. I always wanted to look to see what other opportunities there were to develop me, develop the role that I worked within. But I also knew that going to university wasn't going to be fitting in with my lifestyle into, oh, the screen's gone. Oh, it's back again. I also knew that going to university wasn't really going to fit in with my kind of lifestyle with a young family, a husband that got his own business. So I kind of felt stuck. I thought, where am I going to go now? Because I want to progress, but I can't go, university isn't really an option for me. So I looked at the Chartered Society of Physiotherapy to see what opportunities there were for development, how I could contribute to the profession in a different way in terms of CPD. And the reason I did that was because I felt very, I'm going to say it, but envious of my registered practitioner colleagues that they had got this opportunity to make a difference to a profession because they'd got a PIN number, they'd been to university. I felt that they'd got much more opportunity than I had. So I went to the governing body to see what opportunities were there, and really that's where the doors opened for me. And I got myself involved in a focus group. And that was really to kind of talk about what development opportunities there could be for associate members and what that should look like. And then I also got myself involved in the annual representatives review of the conference. So the CSP does an annual conference for and it's member led, and that is where members will come and table a motion that they feel that council should take forward in terms of threats or potential opportunities for the profession, and how the CSP should be more aware of what is wider than a kind of wider opportunities for the profession. So this was the first time that the review had taken place in 30 years, and it gave me an opportunity to understand much wider what the CSP did for members, and it gave me an understanding of the various kind of wider opportunities for the profession, and that was issues around global health, global issues, health, workforce, education, environmental issues, and anything that was important to the profession. So it really opened me up to thinking more strategically. After the review of the conference, I managed to get myself onto the ARC agenda committee, and that is where we will plan the conference. We will look at the motions that have been submitted to see if they're relevant, if they fit with the terms of reference for the conference. And I had to apply for that and was successful in being appointed for 4 years. I've also debated my own motion at that conference. So as you can see, I kind of got myself sucked into a lot of CPD opportunities. I also got involved in the West Midlands Regional Network, where we host webinars, face-to-face events, and I'm now been elected as co-chair to that network. So throughout our kind of last couple of years, a lot of our events have been online, but for this October we've got our first face-to-face event, which is challenges to the event is going, sorry, I mumbled my words there. Our event is pitched at diversity within the profession, and that is diversity of roles in the profession, but also looking at the challenges of diversity within the profession itself. So this has given me a greater understanding of the governing body's influence and what members can influence within the Chartered Society of Physiotherapy. And throughout this kind of journey of CPD, it's given me a lot of skills that I didn't really recognise at the time that I was obtaining. So when the lead AHP support worker secondment came available, I'd already got a kind of wealth of leadership skills that I was kind of gaining along the way. Next slide, please, Abby. So then when the secondment came available for AHP support worker, I wanted to jump at that opportunity. And I've been in post now. This is my second year. First year was a secondment, second year from January is now a substantive role. So I wanted to seek out what support workers felt that the role meant to them and what I've achieved in the time that I've been in post. So for support workers, so far, we've done our initial scoping, so we understand our workforce, we understand their challenges in terms of their lack of career progression, what their needs and wants are in terms of their development. But we've also looked at what our skills gap analysis is, and we've introduced the care certificate for AHP support workers. This is something that was not done in Dudley previously. We've adapted that care certificate because it was very nurse focused, so we've kind of contextualized it to make it more suitable for AHP support workers. And currently we've got support workers in therapy and imaging, and we're going into orthoptics from September who are going to be doing the care certificate, and that fits really well in terms of the framework and what is education requirements and development opportunities for support workers. We've also been able to develop in terms of working with Birmingham University, some educator training for support workers to support students while they're on placement. And that's really recognising the skills, the contribution that support workers bring to students when they're on placement, but formalising that contribution and making sure that they're equipped to be able to understand the needs of a student while they're on placement. We're also in the development of getting a competency ratified as well for support workers, so that we can ensure that they are not only gone through the training, but that they've got the skills and the behaviours to be able to sign that off so that they're competent to support students while they're on placement. And that's really to kind of move away from students being in that one-to-one model of having all of their learning from their educator. We want to involve support workers, not to overwhelm them. This is about support workers contributing and being part of the team to student education. We've also introduced a support worker forum. And we've also got a system-wide focus group. So that's through our faculty, where we've got representation of support workers from Dudley within the member organisations. We've had some CPD events. We've had a virtual CPD day in September of last year, where we had some national speakers and regional speakers. And we've also just done a collaboration event in June this year, and that was across 2 ICSs. So that was the Black Country and Birmingham Solihull. And again, we had some national speakers to talk about the framework, and apprenticeship lead for the West Midlands to talk about the opportunities for apprenticeships. But we also had some case studies of support workers that have done some leadership roles, some education roles, to really kind of inspire support workers of what breadth there is and what opportunities there are for support workers. We've also created some shadowing opportunities for support workers across the ICS as well. So we've got support workers working in, let me give you an example, MSK outpatients within Dudley who have taken some opportunities to go and work, do some shadowing in another trust to kind of do some learning and peer-to-peer shadowing in those opportunities. Also, career conversations has been a big thing. That's either taken through the forum or maybe some one-to-one opportunities where I've mentored some staff where they would like to talk about what their next steps could be, what they would like to kind of achieve. And also doing some succession planning for myself for my own role, because really what I would, for me personally, to make this role successful, I would like to be able to create some more leaders. So that's a little bit in a nutshell of what the role has done so far within the trust. Can I have next slide, please, Abby? But what I really wanted to kind of show you was what support workers felt this role's done for them. And I've made some other notes alongside these slides of what support workers are saying. And I won't read from the slides because you can clearly see them, but some support workers have said that I'm a mentor, a leader, somebody who's always available to support colleagues, guide them with the next step, and a support worker ambassador. for me, this is really important about what support workers feel that this role does. This is about giving them a role model and leadership, and somebody that's an advocate for them at a senior level, but also can equally come down and translate things into them at a language that is suitable for them. I've created a safe space for support workers to talk through the forum, to talk about the real challenges that they faced in terms of lack of opportunities, lack of development, always feeling that they're not had the opportunity to take these now. That there seems to be a turning point, that they feel that there's a bit more opportunity for them. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. Also feel that this is a real turning point for the trust to have the vision for this role. They feel that it has opened doors for support workers, and it's looked at exciting progression and benefits the patient, the staff and the trust. Next slide, please, Abby. Also, we've got support workers that feel that I've created opportunities for them so that they can feel more confident to take opportunities by mentoring them, coaching them, providing them with opportunities that they wouldn't have had before, in seeking out, sharing their career journeys in CPD events, and really wanting support workers to inspire support workers. It's the thought process behind that. Next slide, please, Abby. And this is what the role means to some clinical team leaders and service managers. And again, I felt this was really important to kind of get this viewpoint, so that it not only benefits the support worker, it's benefiting the services that they work within and the patient care that they deliver. So in terms of the care certificate, if I bring it back to that, we now have support workers that will be competent and have a skill set that is more blended approach, so that the care that they are delivering, we can evidence that they have got a competency pack to sign off alongside their existing competency. It inspires the unregistered support staff to seek out opportunities to continue their development. So it also benefits the staff group and patient care. The other things that have been said is it's linking in with a more larger network across regional and national levels, encouraging staff to get involved and be included in those opportunities, and being an individual point of contact for career conversations and guidance, a great link between management and unregistered staff, ensuring their voices are heard, and supporting staff, but also managers. It from me, Abby. I think my next slide has just got my contact details, and if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to ask me. I know I've talked really quite quickly, so
There's three questions in the chat. So
oh,
the
thanks,
first
Abby.
one is it says, did you have to do a foundation degree for your AP role?
No, there wasn't a course available for me to do my assistant therapy practitioner role, so I got that role on experience and competencies that I worked through in my current role.
Did you have to do a place?
Sorry, Kat, can I just jump in quickly? I think that's also important to say that the framework recognises that experience is also really key. So obviously, you know, education levels are important, but actually that experiential learning is also very important as well. And I think that's something that's quite new and quite novel, and I think that is really important. So, Kat, I've managed to get the chat up on my phone, so you've done an amazing job of sharing. But I can see the questions now, which is absolutely great. Thank you. Just coming, Matthew's asked, did you have to do a placement, and was it on a ward or in the community?
I presume, is that for my clinical role?
I'm not sure. It doesn't say on there. I think it might have been to do with the foundation degree, but you didn't do the foundation degree. So I think that probably answers that one. But if you want to pop something else in the chat, Matthew, if we haven't covered that, then that would be great. There's another question just about support from your employer, really. So did you have support from your employer to take on those roles within the CSP in your work time, or did you have to do it within your own time?
That's a really good question, actually. And I'd say it's a bit of both. when I go to my employer to ask them for support for time off, I think I really had to build a case of why I wanted to do it, what I was going to learn from that opportunity and what I was going to bring back to the organisation. So sharing your learning. So I do absolutely get support from my organisation to attend any committees that I'm on, and that time to do that in my work time. However, what I would say to you is that there is also, for my own behalf, that I might have to, if I'm attending a committee and I've got to do some pre-reading, I do that in my own time. So I think for me, I was very much driven that I wanted to make a difference. So I couldn't do all of it in my work time. So it's a bit of a balance is what I'd say, but I'm very much supported in terms of the time taken away from work. Is definitely given to me in my work time. There might be some reading that I need to do out of work, and the CSP pay for all my travel and expenses if I'm attending anything that's in London, or if I'm attending ARC in Manchester, hotel provision is all paid for. So I think for me to do some of that in my own time is kind of for me, it doesn't feel hard done by, because I'm getting a lot of learning out of it and I've benefited it hugely in my career. So I recognise that not everybody's got the time commitment to do that though.
I think, I mean, your organisation is particularly dynamic, I think, Lorraine, in creating this opportunity, but I think also the things you've done that are really important is evaluating it. So what you've done is shown the impact and the power of the work that you do, and I think that's the sort of thing that makes managers, makes leads listen, because actually they can see the value of the work that you're doing. So yeah. I think it's really key, that evaluation work.
Yeah. What I would say is though that these roles within the CSP I was doing before I even got the lead AHP support worker role. So I had taken that plunge myself, and I didn't really say it when I was talking, but all of these things were leadership qualities that I didn't see myself as a leader. I just see myself as driven, as wanting to make a difference. So there's a lot of qualities that I probably still don't recognise in myself, but it's about the work that's important to me and making a difference.
Just got a point here in the chat, really, that in someone's role and location, experience and knowledge don't let you progress from band 3, and I think that's the big point of the framework, really, is to ensure consistency amongst between organisations, so that working in one organisation looks the same as working in another. So if one organisation could progress from band 3 without it, then it would be the same in others. It's about that consistency, and I think the framework was developed as part of that because there was notable inconsistency for support workers in different organisations in different regions. So hopefully the framework will help to overcome those sort of problems.
What I would add to that though, Abby, is that when I said that I went from a band 3 role to a band 4 role, there was a vacancy. So it wasn't that I just transitioned from a band 3 to a band 4. You have to understand that your organisation needs to have a vacancy for that role. They need to have a need for that extended scope at that higher banding, and also that experience doesn't give you a higher banding. We would all be band 10s if it was down to our experience, knowledge and skills that we've got. It's about your organisation recognising the role at that scope, at that banding that is required.
And the other thing about the framework is it's helping to support organisations, so AHP leads and managers, to help look at skill mix to determine whether there's potential for unregistered staff, so support workers, to actually work in different ways. So creating those band 4 roles, creating those band 5 roles that traditionally might not have been there, but actually getting them to think differently about the way that they staff their services. And again, we've got a webinar that's going to be aimed at managers and leads to really start looking at those things as well. So I think the important thing is for support workers being aware that those opportunities hopefully are going to start appearing, they're going to start being developed, but it's also for organisations to start thinking slightly differently, and that's what the framework is there to do. It's to get organisations thinking in a slightly different way about how they do things, and I think that's important. Matthew's just asked if there's a foundation degree or something similar, do you need to do a placement? So I'm not an expert on foundation degrees, but I think the majority is experiential learning as well. So there is an element of placement, but you'd need to look into each individual foundation degree because they're all slightly different. So I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat. Is anyone else? Pop your hand up if you want to ask anything to Lorraine at this stage, or we can always come back at the end if there's any other questions that come up. Anything else? No, there's a quick question that popped up, or comments popped up. Our organisation insists on a foundation degree despite the course being very nurse based with little AHP content. Yeah, I'm a qualified nurse and still told I must do the foundation degree to be a band 4. Is this the same everywhere? I don't think it's the same everywhere. I think different organisations have slightly different policies, but it's certainly not uncommon. I think Kat and Lorraine are both nodding. It's things that they've heard before and things that I've heard before. So again, the purpose of the framework is to rule out or to remove that inconsistency and improve that consistency. So it's the same for everybody.
I think with also with apprenticeships, it's really down to your provider as well and your apprenticeship team and who they're using. And we in Dorset Healthcare, we have a nursing route and a therapies route for our therapy assistant practitioners. So maybe speak to your apprenticeships team. Maybe they have more information.
I think we'll probably we did do a webinar based with some content around apprenticeships a few months ago, but I think it probably, just from some of the comments coming up, it's making me think perhaps we need to do a further webinar and perhaps an information session on that. So I think that might be quite useful, but probably in a separate webinar. So keep your eyes and ears out, and we'll perhaps get that sorted in the next few months, hopefully.
The other thing to add into that, Abby, is as well that, you know, with the level 5 and level 3 profession specific courses out to tender, that might, you know, hopefully that's going to change in the future, really, in terms of the level 5 development of that courses, should I say.
Yeah, so and Andrea's just popped something. Andrea Morgan is, I'm going to make sure I get your title right, Andrea, Health Education England's Southwest Regional Workforce Lead. I think I've added an extra word in there, haven't I?
The support workers.
It's absolutely fine. You
Okay. Did you want to jump in there at all, Andrea?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to echo exactly what Lorraine said, really. We've got the level 3 and level 5 apprenticeship procurement out at the moment. It's live until the end of September. And what that procurement exercise is really looking to do is to ensure, certainly in the level 5 assistant practitioner programme, that there is occupation specific content within that programme to allow for that seamless transition into pre-registration pathways, if that's what people want, or to provide that occupation specific knowledge and skills for the roles that people are in or are going into, and they will be occupation specific. So that's out for tender at the moment, and I think that will make a real difference going forward for people wanting to have programmes of study that are really going to fit the professions and the roles that they're in. So yeah, watch this space that's coming to a place near us soon.
Thanks, Andrea. That's really useful. I think that the other thing to say is this framework is just the beginning of this journey. It's not the end point. We're not there yet. It's not all ready. It's not all looking shiny. The opportunities aren't there yet, but it's the beginning of creating them and creating that career pathway that people have so long needed and wanted. So it's not perfect yet. But it will be. That's the purpose of the framework, really. So super. Thank you, guys. If there's no other questions at the moment, I'm going to hand over to Kat, if that's okay, Kat. Let me grab your slides up. How's that looking?
Beautiful.
So,
hi everyone, my name's Kat. I'm the Pastoral Education Coordinator for support workers in Dorset Healthcare. Next slide, please. That's just my title. So my background is I worked as a support worker in a district nursing team in Southbourne for a few years. And then, a bit like Lorraine, wanted to do something a bit different. COVID kind of changed my career progression route. I always thought I was going to be a nurse, but I decided that right now it wasn't really for me. I have two very young daughters who take up a lot of my time. So university probably wasn't, going to university again wasn't probably on top of my agenda at the moment. So I looked for opportunities and I found the AHP support worker workforce lead role within Dorset Healthcare. So that was a bit of a part of this project. So I looked at our AHP support workforce and looked at their education and training needs and did a bit of an analysis to see where the gap was and what was needed to support our staff, which is part of that national project. And then from there, they Health Education England have another initiative for healthcare support workers. I think it's mainly for nursing, but I include AHPs in mine. So what that means is I am part of a project that helps to recruit, retain and support our healthcare support workers with their education and development. So what we know is that lots of support workers leave because of a perceived lack of opportunity, and my role is to signpost them, provide them guidance, support to get that opportunity. So with AHP specifically, this framework, I'm supporting the AHP lead in hopefully implementing the framework and supporting a lot of the AHP support workers who would like to travel up the bands, really. Next slide, please. So my role, what I do to support my healthcare support workers in our trust is I provide guidance through induction. So as we all know, induction can be a bit hit and miss, and it depends on your trust as to what you receive. So I contact every single new starter to make sure that they are equipped with everything they need, they feel supported in their team, and they are booked onto their care certificate training, because that can be a bit dodgy, especially AHPs and not realising that it's for them as well. I also champion the role of the healthcare support worker throughout our trust and nationally as well. So through events that are held virtually quite a lot of the time now from COVID. I'm also setting up different events to celebrate our healthcare support workers. So AHP Day, we're doing a bit of a virtual event around that within our trust, and the same for nursing as well. I also provide one-on-one career development advice. So if you we look at where you are now and what kind of skills and qualifications you have and where you want to be, and then I kind of fill that pathway gap to help provide them with a bit of clear understanding of where they want to get to with their careers. And also I'm doing lots of other little bits, so changing the induction process hopefully, and just coming up with different ideas to help support our support workers in what has been a really challenging time. So hopefully I've got some fresh ideas that will make people feel valued, and hopefully people will then feel inspired to grow and become that registered workforce that we all need, or they're just going to be fabulous in their own role and they don't have to climb the ladder if that's not what they want to do. But I'm here as a support and a friendly face for them to come and ask them any questions at all. Next slide, please. So any questions for me, I might be able to help. I'm obviously Dorset Healthcare specific, but I can support with any kind of little bits that I can. So persons that we've just agreed funding for 3 posts exactly. Oh, 3 posts. I could do with another 2 of me actually in my trust. But yeah, sure. If you put your email in the chat, Alison, I'll share mine with you.
Thanks, Kat. It's absolutely, it's always inspiring to speak to both of you to hear the amazing work that you guys are doing in your organisations. And are there any other questions? Anyone got any questions for Kat? Thanks, Alison.
If you want to email me after, I'll put my email in the chat, and if I've got any questions I can answer, I will endeavour to answer them. Lorraine.
Mine's, I suppose, is a question slash observation, really. And I think, especially from the work that I've been doing, that getting support workers to recognise experiential learning or taking opportunities for CPD, because not all of the workforce want to go down that registered route. No. So I think for me, it's about trying to tailor these opportunities and perhaps, say this would be really good for your appraisal, this would be really good evidence for this. Have you come across that support workers don't really think that they need to or can do CPD? Yeah,
definitely. I'm constantly signposting to different areas where people can do learning. Like e-learning for health is such a great resource, and people don't know about it. Doing things like that, I think we just need to, people who like to learn for themselves, and our support workforce are brilliant. They want to learn, they're keen to learn, and it doesn't necessarily have to have a reward at the end of it. So I think definitely similar sort of situation.
Can I ask a question to both of you? And that is, obviously you got to your roles before the framework existed or was developed. How do you think your career journeys would have been different if the framework existed 2, 3, 4 years ago?
I wouldn't have a job in this sector because that framework gave me this job. That project. I don't think I would have. I wouldn't have looked for opportunities like this if I hadn't stumbled across that opportunity for the framework. But I think coming from if I was an AHP support worker, that framework is definitely going to change the way because the career path is there. it's set for you. This is what you need to meet. This is what you need to get. Whereas I think before it's a bit of an abyss, isn't it? You don't really know where to look, who to look for. Half of the people in their trust don't know that the apprenticeship team is there to support them or even have to contact them. So yeah,
I think similarly that I wouldn't be in this role, you know, and I'm doing an apprenticeship myself now, so I'm doing a Chartered Managers Institute Leadership and Management at a level 5, and I would have 5 years ago would have never thought that that would have been a possibility as a support worker. So for me, the framework's given a lot of opportunities for me to grow, and for me, this is about influencing. This is about making opportunities for support workers, and now I've got that opportunity to do it locally within my trust, but regionally across the ICS. So for me, the framework's helped me launch a new career, but it was always about championing support workers and being an ambassador for AHPs. But also what I think the framework will do is open up that sphere of leadership opportunity. So not everybody might want to go down that degree apprenticeship route, but actually there might be more educator roles, there might be more pastoral support roles and leadership roles like myself. So I think if anything, it's created another career out of it, really.
Great, thank you both. A few questions coming up in the chat. There's one about where do I find information about the apprenticeship team. So I think the first port of call would be to go within your organisation to see who's leading on apprenticeships within your organisation. So that would be
I've
the
just
first.
got to reply saying your staff intranet. So if you have
perfect.
like a intranet page, you should have a learning and development kind of hub page, whatever it is, and there your apprenticeship opportunities should be on there.
Thanks,
or speak to your online manager, maybe they'll know.
The next question is, someone's asking if you don't mind saying what band you're working at. Obviously, only if you're happy to say what band you are.
Yeah,
so currently I'm at a band 4, but I'm going to put in a business case to hopefully become a band 5 support worker lead within my trust, but who knows, maybe, fingers crossed.
Yeah, and I'm working at a band 5.
Thank you, guys. Comment in the chat, I found more learning opportunities, courses and training just being offered in this role. Yeah, so I think a lot of it is about knowing what opportunities there are out there. So part of the careers I can't remember, we're calling it portfolio that we're creating, is actually going to have those resources listed within them. So it's going to have a list of opportunities where you can look both nationally, but then also more specifically, we're going to break it down to more regional opportunities that you will be able to access or can look for. So I think a lot of what I'm hearing is people just don't know the opportunities that are out there. So the work that we're trying to do is to really promote the opportunities that are out there. So at least you have that opportunity to know what there is, and then see how that fits into your career development plan. I think that's all the comments and questions that I've got in the chat at the moment. Does anyone want to put hands up and ask anything or anything else in the chat? No, I'm not seeing anything. I think I just wanted to say a massive thank you to you both. Every time I speak to you, I'm just absolutely inspired by the work that you're doing, and I think that's the real key to this. I think it's about inspiring support workers to know actually that people can work well above the level they've been working at. People have got so much potential to work in these kind of roles, and I think it's up to organisations in Devon and wider to now create those opportunities to really give people the opportunity to show what they can achieve. So yeah, I think it's lovely hearing what opportunities I think to some extent you've created yourselves. I don't think necessarily those opportunities have fallen into your laps by any means, have they? You've had to go out and work for them. But hopefully that this framework is actually going to make it easier that those opportunities will exist more than having to fight for them, which I think is what we all want. So
I think having confidence in yourself and your skills will take you a long way, and just believe in yourself, be your authentic self, and people will see that and they'll want to help you.
Yeah, definitely. I would echo that. And, you know, I'd never written a report. I'd never done an evaluation before I'd stepped into this role. And I've learnt so much. I've learnt so much about myself, technical skills, experiential learning, and people just want to help you. If if you've started something and you think, oh, I'm not quite sure where I'm going with this, the amount of help that people will want to help you grow and develop within the role has been phenomenal, really. So yeah, definitely take those opportunities and step out your comfort zone. I've definitely stepped out my comfort zone, but it's helped me massively. And thank you, Abby, for letting us share this and inspire others.
So what's saying life begins at the edge of your comfort zone?
I think the other thing to say is that there are opportunities popping up within Devon. So obviously Alison's just posted that Royal Devon have got some opportunities popping up for Kat's kind of role, which is absolutely brilliant to hear. Royal Devon have recently recruited some support worker leads to work on this project as well. So I think there's lots of things happening with Devon. So it's a really important time, really exciting time in Devon. We just need to jump on these opportunities while we've got them. So. Yeah, I'm just looking at there's some comments in the chat which are really good points. To note that the framework is trying to empower people with experience, not just qualifications available. And I think that's really important. It's recognising that experience is really, really important. And actually as support workers, you guys have got a massive amount of experience. So it's using that and promoting that to create opportunities. So I'm not seeing any of the comments. I think it's really important. I'm more than happy for you to contact me if you've got any more questions, or Lorraine and Kat obviously very kindly said you can contact them. Obviously they speak from their organisation's perspective rather than a Devon perspective, so perhaps contacting any of us and we can see what we can do to help. I'm just going to share a couple more slides just to finish off with. So just really promoting the rest of the webinar series. So we've got 2 final webinars coming up. So the next one's on the 20th of September. And this is the one that I mentioned really is important for AHP leads and managers to get them to start thinking differently about skill mixes and apprenticeships and how they can mould their services slightly differently. Using support workers and registered staff to work in slightly different ways and different roles. So by all means, everyone's welcome to come to that. You're welcome to come to as many as you like, but it is more focused for managers and AHP leads. And then the final one on the 29th of September is one I'm really, really looking forward to, and that's around kind of career conversations, because I think part of this framework is about having those career conversations. And I don't know about everyone else, but as a clinician, as a supervisor, I never really got any kind of training or support about how to have career conversations myself or with other people. So we're putting on a session that really does focus on people that are supervising. So whether you're supervising a support worker or someone else, really just to talk about what a career conversation is, how to have that career conversation and hopefully improve those career conversations. So yeah, I'll be sending those around. They'll be posted out on Twitter, and hopefully organisations will be sending around those. But you can, if you want to sign up to any of those, you can take a quick screenshot of those QR codes, and it should link you to the registration page. I think that's everything I've got to say. As I said, just to keep your eyes open on NHS jobs, if anyone is interested, we will have a Band 5 role coming up within the faculty very soon to help support the work across Devon that we're doing around the framework. Again, if you want to talk about that, drop me an email. More than happy to catch up. It'd be lovely to catch up with anyone who wants to discuss that role, or just get some background about it. Other than that, I think there's probably no other questions. So just to say a massive thank you to Kat and Lorraine for coming today. Really, really lovely to hear the work that you're doing. And hopefully in a year or so's time, we might be able to come to other regions and kind of say what we're doing in Devon is just as good, if not better. No pressure, guys, but slightly competitive. But yeah, I think we've got a lot of very, very skilled support workers in Devon as well. So hopefully we'll be developing in these roles too. All right, guys, I think I shall say farewell to everyone. As I said, the recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, so if you want to see it on there, I'll also upload the transcription on there. So if you want to download the transcription, you can see it as well for anybody that needs it. Other than that, thank you, everyone. Great to see everyone. And yeah, hopefully see you for some of the other webinars.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Take care. See you soon.
Thank you.